All right, everyone, what we're going to cover here in this training video is how to set up your Google My Business. So without further ado, let's just jump right into that right now. Okay, so what we got here is if you had your Google account already set up and what you were looking to do next was to go to set up a Google My Business page, what you'd want to do is just type in this right here, business.google.com. And if you do that, it'd bring you right to this page. I'll show you. It actually will bring you right here where you would sign in. And so we're already signed in, and so it brought us to the starting page, what you would do to create your Google My Business. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure as you're creating this that the business address, there are a couple of things that you want to verify or make sure that you have in place, is that the business address that you're utilizing here is the same address that you've set up on various directories or other sites that you have in place, whether it be, again, directory sites, local sites, anything like an alignable.com. If you're on there, just make sure that the business address that you have listed on there is the same as that you would do listed here. That's actually is something that might have a decent impact on your rankings eventually, because Google does look at that information to ensure that it is consistent across various content that it pulls from online. And so, like, let's say I was creating a new business. I'll call it ABC Local Tree Company. Okay, say we did that. I'd click on this, and all it's doing here is just verifying that this is indeed the business name. And so what we want to do is click next. And so you'd want to select the business category. And so what I'll show you is that there are two important factors to this piece. You want to make sure that you select the business category that will place you, that will give you greater visibility. And so depending on your business, if you're a local based business, if you're, let's say, you're a plumbing business, you'd want to put, plumbing, let's say you're an HVAC and plumbing business, right? So you'd want to, but you primarily do HVAC. So what you would want to do here is say that you're an HVAC contractor, right? And then later on, I'll show you in this video where you would go in to add in secondary categories, which is very important to do. And so what we'll do here is we'll put tree service, right? Because we're a tree service company. And so with this company specifically, we'll select this. And do you want to add a location the customers can visit? For the purposes of this video, because this is the company I'm creating is a company that would actually go and perform their services at a customer's location, we will click no here. And so what you want to do here, as a general rule of thumb, I'd say list anywhere between 5 to 10 cities that your business serves. And so we're going to put a few cities here. So we'll say Dayton. I'm just going to make these up. Dayton, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio, just for purposes of just doing this. I don't even know what cities are close enough to each other, but basically you'd want to stay within a range, I would say within maybe 10 to 15 miles of each other, and anything beyond that, you may be, depending on, again, your service area. So if your service area is far and wide, then I would definitely look at that, and I would list in order the cities with a greater population first, and then those cities with a smaller population. And so that's how I would approach this. So for the purposes of this, I'm just going to put two cities that we have here. And what I'd want to do next is put a contact number, and so you again, your business number that you have in place, the number that you have listed on your directories, it's important to be the same as the number that you would put here. And then if you want to, you could add a current website. If you don't have a website, I would suggest clicking on this, and you can create this Google site, which it's like a one-page kind of site. It's not necessarily something that you'd want to have in place of a website, but I think it's something that you can have in addition to having a specific website for your business. So I would just select that here, and if I just need to pause the video a moment just to get a number to put here, I'm just going to do that. Hold on one second. Okay, everyone, so I placed the number into the section right here, and I actually hit next. And so we're finishing up here what the My Business listing would be, but this is just to get it started. And so you would hit finish, and what you would do here is actually it would likely request now an address, a mailing address. And so you'd want to make sure that the mailing address that you put here is the address that your company is located at. And so you'd want to plug that here. But since I'm just creating this video for the purposes of training. I am not actually creating a Google My Business. So I'm going to skip this section and actually go into the section that you would want to do in order to finish things off. And so if you go under if you click on Google My Business up here and you go under info, what you'd want to do here, and again, what you would typically do is once you place that address into the information as it's requested, I believe you'd hit next, and then it would send you a postcard in the mail, and you would receive that postcard in roughly between, I think, 5 to 7 business days. You would get that. It would ask you to click verify now, and you would come in here, and it would actually show it would actually say, please, place your Google code here. And you would do that by placing your Google code there, and then you would just enter your dashboard by right here. But since we're not doing that right now, I want to go over some of the key pieces here. And so when we created the business name, you want to make sure that this actually is an exact match to the business that you have. And so if yours is ABC Local Tree Company LLC, you'd want to list that here. And so as you recall, I did say that we would add additional categories as secondary, which is important. So what I'll do here is for a tree service company, I'll look at arborist, tree surgeon, and then I'll see if there's any other tree cutting or anything related as another category, which I don't believe so. So ideally what you would want to do is depending the industry and the niche, you would select the primary category and list 1 to 2 like secondary or additional categories here. But at least you have a primary and at least one secondary. Ideally, if you can get one primary and then 2 others here, that would be great. But having at least one of each would be fine for the purposes of setting up your Google My Business. And so again, your service areas, you want to click on here and make sure you have between 5 to 10 listed for your service area, cities that you serve, with the in the order of being those service cities or those cities you service that have greatest population. And so beneath this, we'll go into your hours. And so you'd want to go through this and list your business hours for each day of the week. Just make sure it represents the times that you do operate as a business. I'm not going to list it here now, but I wanted to cover that section so you were well aware of that. And so what we also want to do here, again, if it's a service-based business, we're going to be likely listing things here about what services we provide. If you are a local based business, a brick and mortar, and you sell products, you'd want to list any kind of products here that you have listed. We're not going to cover that because primarily most of the local service-based businesses that we work with, and the reasoning behind us shooting this video is to provide either people who are looking to create their own Google My Business for their own business, or other marketers looking to learn how to do this. And so what we'll do here is we'll click on services, and what we want to do here, this is also an important piece, because what we're doing is we're actually optimizing our Google My Business to the best way possible that we can in order to make it visible on the search engines. And a lot of times these things are actually overlooked by a lot of businesses. And so they'll list like one service. But with this, what I want to do is capitalize on utilizing Google to create more visibility for my business, right? So I'm going to click on stump removal because let's say we offer stump removal. We'll do tree removal, tree trimming, cable bracing, and we'll just say tree. Yeah, we'll say we do all of these, right? What does it hurt to say that? We'll just end up showing up in those categories. And so what we want to do here is, so under tree service, these are all the services that we list for, that we provide under tree services. We don't necessarily have to list anything here. You can if you want. We've already kind of got it covered all up here. So it's pretty much it. We've covered all the bases. The next piece, what you'd want to do under each one of these, you'd want to go in and actually you could put no price, leave this empty, and actually for a tree, for the purposes of a tree company, I would leave this empty. And what I would want to do is write out a couple sentences, 2 to 3 sentences, specifically talking about that particular service that your company offers. And a good kind of approach to this is to think about how people would typically search for your business online. They might be looking for, so we'd want to use keywords, potential keywords that'll be related to stump removal, right? So you could say something that our company provides the best quality, right? Best quality tree stump grinding and tree stump removal in Cleveland, Ohio, and serving as well as neighboring cities and towns, right? We'll put that there. And so that's like one sentence there. I would probably add like another sentence, just again elaborating a little bit more. So I'll leave that up to you to decide on what would be appropriate. But ideally, 1 to 2 sentences here under each of your services, and we'll go back to this. That way, you have them all nicely, describing each one of your services that you offer here. And so, what you'd want to do next. Now, this is key. So ideally what Google likes to see when it comes from a photo perspective. And so I won't go too deep on this because we can get very technical on this piece, because there's ways of coding the XF file, or the XF data metadata in a specific image file that you could basically optimize individually for certain keywords, and in also writing in the way you've kind of write your business into that data. So I won't cover that in this video here, but just know that option does exist. And so that's a little bit more of an advanced approach to like listing a business, which we'll cover in another video. But for the purposes here, what I'll do is I'll click on here, and outside of that piece, what you'd want to do is look for like 10 to 12 of your of pictures that you've taken of the work that you've performed for your business. And what you'd want to do is upload them here. Ideally, I think at least to have 12. 12 is like the number. And what you'd want to do is for 9 to 10 of those, you could have, if you're, let's say, a tree service business or a plumber, you would want to have 9 to 10 photos on site of the work that you've done on site. So original photos, good quality. So most cameras shoot good quality photos these days. So you'd want to put that, take a picture of that. And then 2 other photos, or your remaining 2 photos, would be one of either the outside of your business, or one of, let's say, if you're a tree service company, a picture of your truck in front of your business. And the other being, again, if you're a tree company and you work, let's say, and you have a small office, right? And so one would be um, your tree company or your tree truck, service truck in front of your business, and the other one being inside your business with, let's say, you and your office staff. So that's kind of pretty a little key there. I've seen that to be very helpful when people. It helps with a trust factor when people search online. And so having a picture of you and your staff, at least one of those on there, it would be great to have. And so you'd list that here, and you'd want again, 12 photos at a minimum. This is freezing up, so I'm just going to pause this video for a second. Okay, now hopping over to here, and you might have remembered that I mentioned earlier that if you don't have a website, that's okay. You can add a website after. There's a link here where you'd want to do that. I can't find it right away, but it is here, and you can add a website. I believe, yeah, it's right here. Actually, you would take this out, right? And you'd add your website like WWABC Tree Company, and you would add it there, right? And what you'd want to do also, and if you don't have a website, that's fine. But if you do, that's where you'd want to add it. If you don't have a website, what you'd want to do is actually go here and go to website and create a Google site. Basically, this is an okay thing to have. You should have this regardless of what you have, but this should not take place of an actual website. So if this is something that you do temporarily, that's fine, but eventually you definitely want to have a website. In most cases, for most local businesses, you want to have a primary website that you can use to point customers to. And this is just a secondary site that you would utilize, that we could get when we get into future training videos about some advanced tactics. This is something that you could definitely utilize to leverage your online visibility, and also to help build the authority and trust to your other websites. And there's certain ways of doing that. We won't cover that here because that's a little bit beyond the scope of this, but that will be covered in the future. And so if you click on website, let me see here, and you get started. This is very, very easy to use. So basically, you can select a theme. You can select this theme. We'll just do that temporarily. Click edit, and then what you'd want to do here, primary button, get a quote, call us now. I typically do call now, and for for a call to action, and that would be right here where it would show up. And so the text, the headline, name your company, description. This is where you can get a little creative. And tree service business providing or delivering the best tree services around. And again, this is going to be something in the future where you can build out a little bit more. But for the purpose of this, you just, um, we're just going to fill some of these areas in. And so in the body, you'd want, so a good rule of thumb when approaching this is to write between 300 to 500 words in the body. Ideally, you'd want it optimized from an SEO perspective. If you don't have that initially, that's something that you can look at in the future, or go back, or have somebody work on for you, or learn a little bit more about what that is, what that would look like. But basically, you'd want to mention specific keywords that will attract people to your business. And so, and the keywords that you would want to rank high for your business, you'd want to have that embedded, or twinkle, kind of sprinkled. I'm sorry, sprinkled throughout your description in the summary body of your website here. So you would do that here. Then outside of that, the photos actually that you uploaded would show up here. And so they would actually be listed in the bottom here. But also you could change this photo, and I would say just change it to something that again, like probably like your business photo, something like the truck outside of your business will be a great, photo to have right here. And so that pretty much covers it, as far as setting up your Google My Business, and then also the website that's within Google My Business. But stay tuned for other training videos where I cover more topics and things related to local SEO and local business. Alrighty, and have a good day, and talk to you soon.